What is going on, everyone? Lauren Sisler here with AL.com, hanging out with my buddy Mike, the real McCoy, former receiver for Alabama, also flexing, doing that thing at Maximum Performance in Bessemer. Go check him out. He does his thing. But you know what? This is a guy that knows all too well what it's like to play in the swamp. And Alabama is about to head to the swamp this weekend as we get ready for Week 3, Alabama head-to-head.
Let's go now.
All right, for you betting folks out there, Alabama comes in as the 15-point favorite opening the week. The line dropped to 13.5, and Alabama's got to go on the road. Look, we saw what Alabama did in Week 1 against Miami, neutral site Atlanta, kind of their home away from home. Right. No big deal. Mercer, well, they handled business there. The final score was 48-14, but Nick Saban not all too happy, and we'll get into that in one moment. But now, Week 3, these boys got to go play in the swamp, a place that you were all too familiar with. You played in the swamp.
Yes.
Shoot them straight. Shoot them straight. Tell them what it's like.
Man, the atmosphere, since COVID is kind of opened up a little bit, the fans are going to be back. My first experience was getting off the bus, and we got welcomed to Auburn Rejects. Auburn Rejects.
That happened?
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Wait, that happened?
Yes.
And what was your response?
Where we at, man? This is uncharted waters for me, so I wasn't used to it. I'm just an old country boy, so I didn't understand it. But man, the atmosphere is second to none. It's comparable to LSU at nighttime. It's like that.
Woo! And this is a 2:30 kick. This is a 2:30 CBS kick. So this will obviously be in broad daylight when it is sticky and stanky.
Yes.
Right? It's going to be tough, and that actually plays into really when. I mean, I get it. It's humid here in Alabama. But when you go down to the swamp, it's a different beast when you're dealing with the elements, so to speak. And there could be a little moisture in the air.
Yeah, I heard it was supposed to rain, so that may change the dynamic of the game from instead of passing into running. So the run attack is going to have to show up on both sides of the ball.
Okay, I got to ask you real quick. What was your game day get-up? Like, were you like Mr. Bow Tie? Like, were you into just the regular tie? Were you like, I'm going GQ? You mentioned you're a country boy, so.
I'm a GQ now. You look good, you play good. You know, you play good, you pay. They get paid good. That's
okay,
what's going on.
we're gonna dial up a picture. I'm gonna get you to send me a picture of you when you were getting off the bus, like what the GQ swag looks like for Mr. Mike McCoy.
That's right.
So you got to have that swag like Bryce Young. I kind of want to get your thoughts here. We go into this, we talk about the offense. Game 1, the offense looked great, and I think that anytime you have those question marks, you don't know what this team is truly coming in with, considering so much lack or loss of production from last year. You know, with your quarterback and Mac Jones, obviously, you know, Devontae Smith, you know, Jalen Waddle. You have to replace that production, and of course, Najee Harris. But one thing I guess that was a little bit of a glaring issue, and most people would be like, okay, you go 3 and out in your first drive, like big whoop. But there did seem to be a little bit of that slow start in in drive 1 of this football game against Mercer. How does that play out when you go into the place like the swamp? Alabama's got to bring a little bit of a different edge to them, especially on the offensive side of the football.
Well, the good thing about that is I think that's a normal thing. It's a normal occurrence. When somebody says Mercer and then somebody says Florida, you're going to be self-motivated. You're going to prepare a little differently. Now, the beautiful thing about Coach Saban is he's going to nitpick everything. He's going to tell you what you're doing wrong. He's going to talk about the rat poison. He's going to tell you stay off social media, all of those things. This week, he doesn't have to do that.
So these guys are going to get up. They're going to be ready to roll. Going up against this Florida team, we know this is a well-coached team with Dan Mullen. We know this will be a well-coached team. He's got the oil on the wheels. He's got it spinning. Dan Mullen, an offensive genius. So he's going to dial up some pretty awesome plays. And I would imagine we're going to see both of their quarterbacks. So when you talk about the offensive side of the football for both teams, I think that if Florida, obviously Alabama being the favorite in this one, Florida's going to be wanting to fight back and they're going to be wanting to use those two quarterbacks. You got Emory Jones, who is kind of the safe pick. You know, he's the guy that, you know, will go in there and is a little bit more of a veteran quarterback, makes better decisions. But Anthony Richardson, man, that kid, he's got it going on.
Game changer.
And he can really light up some explosive plays, which I think is going to be important for this Florida team, but also Alabama's going to have to really set up themselves for success on that. So I can imagine offensively we're going to see some back and forth from both offenses, and what I believe is going to be a little bit more of an offensive slugfest than we have seen in the first two games.
No, without question. How do you prepare for an offense that has two quarterbacks? Not to mention those running backs that they have three that are pretty good and they're able to spread the ball out. So it's going to be a slugfest. It's definitely that. I think it's going to be a little closer than what people are anticipating.
When you talk about this Alabama defense, they have shown a lot of flashes. And I go back to this time and time again. There was a lot of criticism of them in recent years, but they've come out, they've really been able to show that they can make big plays.
Right.
One kid that I want to highlight, Kool-Aid McKinstry. First of all, Kool-Aid, pretty sweet name.
Right.
But look, bottom line is Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think he's going to show us some big things this year. I think he's a great asset for this defense. One thing that does concern me a little bit going into this matchup, Will Anderson out with a knee injury, took a helmet to the knee. Nick Saban said prognosis is positive as of right now. He wasn't expected to practice earlier in the week, so we'll see how things go. But he's one of the best outside linebackers they got. And, you know, you certainly don't want to see the injuries kind of pile up early in the season. Josh Jobe, they were out without them in game 2, as well as Jalen Armour-Davis. The expectation, though, is they will be back. So I think that Alabama really needs to build and continue to build its depth on defense if they want to continue, playing at an elite level and kind of taking away the doubters. Taking away the doubters, because my friend Mike McCoy over here had a little bit of doubt last year. But how are you feeling about this defense going into week 3 after the 2 weeks we've seen them on display?
I think we definitely got to get to a point where we're more disciplined. I think we got to I think Alabama's defense got a little lazy towards the end. That's why you had blown coverages the first and the second game and not paying attention to detail. And I think they got to get more disciplined by not getting penalties. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me as an entire team. But as a whole, I'm not worried one bit.
Okay, Mike, as we get into predictions, that is going to be one of the big keys in this football game, in my opinion. Got to clean things up. Penalties, a big issue. First half, they had 6 penalties for 70 yards, Alabama. Got to clean it up.
Giving away free money.
Free money, and that's why Nick Saban was 100% not thrilled about that performance, even though they put up 48 on Mercer. But that's to be expected. So with that being said, penalties are going to be huge, and I think obviously the offensive production. Can this offense continue to move the ball down the field, score on every drive, and then defensively, they've got to look out for these 2 quarterbacks. And I have every bit of anticipation that we're going to see both of those guys, and I think if they let this Anthony Richardson guy get down the field, show off some of that explosiveness, do his thing, yes. I think that it's going to be a little bit of a longer day for Alabama than maybe they would like. I still think Alabama wins this one. My final score, I think it's going to be, like we said, an offensive slugfest. I'm going to go 38-28.
Okay. I like that. My biggest thing for the game for Bama to pull it out is discipline. Assignment discipline. And you control that. I think Bama will pull it out 42-21.
Ooh.
It's guaranteed that I die legend. Yeah, son God, homie, I'm reverend. Preach, just protecting my investment.